I'm a dog. I've had every kind of dog you've ever heard of. I love to train dogs and to work with them, but they are so exceptional. Now, Roy, what's the difference between a service dog and a therapy dog?
Service dogs are for people who have disabilities and are trained to do specific tasks that the person with the disability cannot do. Therapy dogs are for groups of people, and they're brought into places like nursing homes and children's hospitals and disaster areas. And then there are emotional support dogs, which are for one person who can benefit therapeutically from the comfort that emotional support dogs provide.
Somebody's in a wheelchair and they train a dog to do what? Open a refrigerator, ring on the doorbell? What do they do?
The service dogs for people with disabilities are trained to do specific tasks for that person depending on their disability. So whatever your disability is, that dog will be trained specifically to help you with what is wrong with you. What you're dealing with that's not necessarily wrong.
They have been able to sniff out cancer, can't they?
It's absolutely amazing. They say that not only does cancer have a smell, but different cancers have different smells. It's really remarkable. And so now they're trying to figure out, I mean, this is something that we know. They're trying to figure out what exactly is it, what molecule is it that the dog is smelling, and maybe we can identify that and come up with a treatment.
What do they do to train a dog? I mean, he smells cancer and he sits down next to the cancer.
What they do is they will take, say, 4 people. 3 people do not have cancer, and 1 person does have cancer. And they have them wear T-shirts for 24 hours, and they put the T-shirts in containers, and the dog will sniff out the T-shirt that the person has cancer in. I know. Dogs are just so amazing. They're so good.
Well, the seeing eye dogs, the one we're familiar with, they've got a rack. And they train those dogs, what, to look for traffic? Can they tell a red light from a green light?
Right. They sometimes can. There are different skill levels, and it's amazing what they can do. I don't know if you noticed, they're now doing the old Lassie trick, but actually speaking English, where dogs can wear a vest with a little stick hanging out, and the dog can pull on the stick, and it'll trigger a recording that says, "Get help! My owner needs help." Remember, like in the old Lassie, they would bark, and people would say, "What? There's somebody at the old mill." But now they actually can do that, and they can push 911 if their handler says, "I need help." So it's really amazing the things that they can do.
Well, you know, there was one dog I read about. He was a border collie. I think they trained him to learn about 1,400 words, and they would say, "Go get the red ball, go get the small ball, get the blue." He'd go in and pick out toys out of his box.
It's shocking how smart they are and how good and loving they are. They just want to be loved, and that's so often what their motivation is just praise.
So have you got dogs? Do you have a dog?
I had 2 dogs, loved them, and this really made me want to get another one. But I will say I did learn something very important that I wanted to pass along to you and our viewers. If you see a service dog, don't touch it.
Don't touch it?
Don't touch it. If you want to make somebody who has a service dog really angry, touch their dog. They don't like that, and it's actually against the law, and it usually says on their vest, "Don't touch me."
Why not?
They're working and they're busy, so you don't want to engage with their dog when they've got their vest on, and it is against the law to ask somebody what your disability is. So if you see somebody with a service dog, you're not to say it's against the law to ask them what their disability is. Although if you have a business, you may ask, is that a service dog that is required for your disability?
Well, they can get on an airplane. They can travel with the
They
person.
absolutely can, and so can the emotional support dogs too. Sometimes airlines, and also when you're trying to rent a place to live. If it says no pets and you have an emotional support dog, if you provide documentation, you can go around that requirement.
All right, somebody's got a nervous condition. They're all shook up. what do they do with one of these comfort dogs? How does that work?
An emotional support dog?
Yeah.
Well, you first go to your doctor and usually get a doctor's note because, as I say, sometimes people who are renting apartments or people or airlines will want to see the note to see that it's actually required because actually there are a lot of scammers out there.
I'm sure there are.
So, but if you get your doctor's note, then you can have your dog designated as an emotional support dog and you can take it on an airline with you, on an airplane, and
What do you just hug the dog and he licks your face, and that
goes everywhere with you.
goes everywhere, and that takes care of your emotional.
That's right. It's actually been shown that dogs lower blood pressure, they lower heart rate, and they increase endorphins and oxytocin, the feel-good hormone.
on.
Oh yeah.
Well, all right. How much do these trained dogs cost if you want to buy one?
Sometimes they're enormously expensive. Sometimes it costs $25,000 to train a good service dog because you were talking about some of these jobs are really hard to do and require a lot of training. And sometimes you pay cash for them. Then there are other organizations that will provide them free of charge. Sometimes if you have a disability, you need to be trained along with your dog. So it kind of runs the gamut. If people want more information, they should go to the American Kennel Club, AKC.
Yeah.
There are lots of guidelines about what to do, how to get one, and how to train one.
Well, I've had dogs on this program. Done a few tricks with them. I tell them to roll over and they roll over, and I tell them to speak and they speak. I try to talk to dogs. I mean, I don't just say go there. I mean, I say go get in your bed or sit down or bring me the paper or something.
This is why I love you so much, because you love animals. People who love animals, you love dogs, and you also love horses.
Oh, absolutely.
People who love animals are the best kind of people, in my opinion. They just are such loving people. But you talk about training. You do not have to get your service dog professionally trained. You can train it yourself or have a friend or loved one train it, but you do have to have documentation.
Well, Lori is fantastic. For those of us who love pets, and I learned about horse training, and horses are so sensitive, and so are dogs. These animals, the Bible says the righteous man cares for the life of his animal, and you look after these creatures because they're precious. All right, this book is called Dr. Dogs, Maria Goodavage.
And she's written other books about dogs too, about dogs for people who have PTSD.
Wow.
And others. She loves dogs, just like you.
Well, I've had every kind of dog you ever had, and I've trained horses. I've gone to the highest level of dressage, and it's just wonderful.
You need to bring your animals back on the show. I love it when your dogs came on the show. I think our viewers love it too.
Everybody loves dogs. All right. Okay. Well, thanks, Laura. You're terrific.
Likewise.